There is a sixth dimension beyond that which is known to man. A multiverse as vast as eternity, as timeless as the Infinity Gems. It is the middle ground between the big two and the indie publishers, between sci-fi and mysticism, and it lies between the pages of the reader's imagination. At the summit of entertainment, the dimension of comics, where a humble service is held. We call this service the Gospel of Comics.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Gospel of Comics. I am your host, the Church of Failure, and with me, as always, is my trusty co-host, Eric McCartney. How are you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing good. Man, that introduction you're getting quick on that one.
Well, you know, you say something enough, and it's right there. It's right there.
Yeah, it almost sounded like a professional, newsreader or something. The way you said that, I was impressed.
Oh well, thank you. Excuse me. So yeah, you're doing well.
Yes.
I was running a little bit late. I was reading the material, catching up on it. Gotta admit, the slow burner. It gets good, but for me, I think it was a little dry in the beginning, and we'll get to that once we get to the issue. If you didn't catch it from the title, obviously we're talking about the Winter Soldier Volume 1. It's another one of the Brubaker pieces that I was speaking on.
This as we continue Brubaker month. I don't know if that's really what we're going to call it, but
doesn't really have a ring to it, does it?
No.
I
I'm
don't
going to
know.
think of something.
We'll have to workshop it.
If you guys in the chat can think of a clever alliteration for this, for these going through different creators each month, let us know.
Yeah.
We'll take it. We'll give you credit. We won't compensate you.
I don't know if you realize what you.
But we'll give you credit for.
Anyway, yes, definitely. But go ahead.
What do you mean?
Oh no, I
don't know. To help us be creative.
I know. I just don't know if you know what you just asked for. Doesn't seem like you know what you're asking for. Anyway, this volume collects 6 issues of Winter Soldier number 1 through 5 and Fear Itself 7.1, which to me, when I first read the back cover of this, I thought, okay, so the Winter Soldier 1 through 5 and then Fear Itself 7.1 is some auxiliary material. I was wrong. This volume was an introduction to this Winter Soldier, the longest winter storyline, and man, I gotta say it was a lot to chew through. It got good, like I said, slow burn. Man, it was hard to get through the first 2 issues of this without going, man, did I make a bad choice? Did I let you pick a bad book? Did I let that happen again on my watch?
Actually, I suggested something else, and you said we have to do Winter Soldier.
Oh?
I'm pretty sure.
No. When I said the Marvel thing, you said Winter Soldier. And I was like, well, we could do Civil War. That's the only option. You were like, nah, I want to do Winter Soldier. And I was like, fine, we'll do Winter Soldier.
I'm pretty sure I suggested something else first from the Marvel.
I don't know if you're putting this on me. I'm blaming you for it. You're taking the blame.
That's fine. It ended up being good.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It was more of a spy espionage thriller thing. I did end up enjoying it.
And I kind of, I figured that's especially when Black brought Black Widow in so heavily and stuff. I was like, okay, this is going to be like a spy thing. And so kind of that tedious reading at the beginning, it didn't really bother me. It was just kind of slow. I was like, okay, it's just like, the old Sean Connery James Bond movies. Like the first hour and a half is just super slow and talking, and then the last 20 minutes is all the fighting and action. That's kind of how this read.
Yeah,
it's kind of like an old spy movie from the 60s.
I definitely give you that, and that's not a genre that I'm super specific with. But I did get the feeling of the 24 vibe from the dialogue between the villains. Like, it wasn't over the top. Like, "Mwah," I mean, at least until you got to Doctor Doom. You know,
Well,
the other
Doctor Doom
villain,
has to be.
yeah, the other villains were just, talking like regular criminals and mobsters and stuff, and I thought that was pretty cool because you don't really get that a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, for me, it was growing up reading and watching the old James Bond and stuff like that. It was a nice callback to those old spy thrillers that I really like.
Yeah,
so I enjoyed it a lot.
I've seen a couple of Sean Connery's James Bond movies. And those are pretty good. But once you got
want
into...
you want to talk about chewing through something, try reading the Ian Fleming novels. Ooh.
Okay.
It's like, you know how Tolkien will describe a field of grass?
Yeah, over 7.5 pages.
Yeah, it's like that.
Yeah, I read the Sumerian. I believe there was a dwarven song that took up like 6 pages or something in the very beginning of it. And I was like, "Are you kidding me?"
Yeah. Yeah, I tried to start reading that, and I was like, you know what? I don't want to have gray hair by the time I'm done with this. I'm just gonna not.
Yeah, I should have made that decision, but I stuck it through. I think it took me like a week to read. That's absurd. I can normally sit down and tear through something if it gets good, and it was good in parts, but then it was like hitting a brick wall in World of Warcraft.
Apparently, Novel Bros' Sean Connery impression is unmatched.
I'm gonna have to find out about that.
Sorry.
I'm gonna need to hear that.
Yeah, we're gonna need proof on that one, buddy.
Not that we doubt you. I want to hear it. Sounds awesome. So, anyway, I think we should probably go ahead and jump into this. Let's see here. Where should we? I guess we start with Fear Itself, number 7.1, and that awesome intro splash page. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I love that.
This kind of gives you a backstory of who Bucky Barnes is. Go ahead.
Oh, it looked like something got messed up on the screen share. Anyways, continue. It's fine.
Do you see it again?
Yeah, I see it.
Okay. No, this kind of gives you an introduction to who Bucky Barnes was. It explains that he was Captain America's sidekick. He was Captain America for a while as well. Then he was basically mind washed by the Soviets and became the Winter Soldier. It's pretty much the story you got in the Winter Soldier movie, I think, to a certain degree, except I don't believe he ever became Captain America at that point.
Yeah, it's pretty similar. I mean, they changed it a little bit, but in the movie. Yeah,
I don't believe he became the Winter Soldier, or he became Captain America before he became the Winter Soldier in the MCU. But here, and I do like the fact that there's a reference to the Falcon while he's Captain America in this volume, which was put out in like 2012, and now we have the Winter Soldier Falcon crossover MCU TV show coming out. Very, very interesting.
Yeah, which I'm still morbidly curious about, but
yeah,
not enough to.
Apparently, it's supposed to. Yeah. Well, I mean, you can roll it in with Hulu. I believe it's like $17, $18 for everything. It's a good deal. They're definitely going to get all the neat bucks. But anyway, this gives you the introduction. This whole issue is talking about Bucky. Essentially, Nick Fury took his body and, quote unquote, or I don't know if he was Nick. Wasn't Captain America at the time that he died, was he? That was just the cover.
Yeah, it was.
Was he? He died in the Captain America suit?
No, he
supposedly?
was. Yeah, he was still Cap.
Okay,
Yeah.
But he's supposedly dead, and Nick Fury had secretly replaced him with a life model decoy, which, as somebody who's read a lot of Marvel, anytime they need to explain something, it's either a Doombot or a life model decoy. And this story, spoiler alert,
Yeah,
has
pretty much.
both. But they replaced Bucky Barnes with a life model decoy as being the dead one and bury him. And then Bucky Barnes goes back to doing work for S.H.I.E.L.D. in the shadows. And they don't tell Captain America about it until several days after the fact. So, it's very interesting.
Which I love the fact when he just bitch slaps the crap out of Nick Fury.
Yeah, that's what we'll go to next, because that's probably one of the more impressive pages in the entire story, where Nick Fury tells him, and he just proceeds to start bailing on Fury, and Fury has to actually grab his shield to protect himself from Steve Rogers.
That would have been sweet if they would have done something like that in the movie.
Right. Well, Nick Fury was Sam Jackson, and you don't really throw down on Sam Jackson. Sam Jackson throws down on you. He's like Bruce Willis.
Yeah, that's fair.
Anyway, Novel Bro brings up a very good point that the art in these panels are really good. That's credit to Butch Juice, I believe is his name. Guice. Juice. Ayrton, goddammit.
Oops.
Oy vey. That's awful. No, Juice.
My bad.
Guice. And obviously Ed Brubaker is the writer. VC Joe Caramagna was on letters for this. And I gotta say, it was easy to read. That's one thing, like I said, since I started following Eric Weathers and we read the hamsters, and see the importance of good lettering. I've stopped taking lettering for granted. So I want to implore anybody out there who's a fan of comics, always credit letterers, because they're doing God's work. If you were able to read the comic, they're doing God's work. A lot of times they're also in charge of the effects.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like the word bubbles and like the word whooshes and.
Yeah.
What are you talking about, Novel Bro? What did you say? What did I do? He's yelling at me in the chat, and I don't know what I did.
Oh, I think he's talking about me mistaking juice for Jews.
Oh, okay. But anyway, at this point in the story, now that we've got the art credit laid out, I still want to know what I did. I don't know what I did to piss off Novel Bro. Like, what? What did I say? But anyway. Oh, okay, I get it. It was the juice thing. He was okay.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah, it was.
Captain America has to sell the fact that Bucky is dead, even though he knows he's alive after this point, to the memorial. It's basically what this issue sums up to. I mean, they're the heartfelt re-encounter, and basically Bucky convincing Captain America that he needs to be doing the work for S.H.I.E.L.D. in the shadows. My biggest, I don't know if this was scripted for this, but this was what they call a tie-in issue to the event Fear Itself, and I don't really think that it has a lot to add to that story. It was, I believe, written to set up this story. And my biggest criticism of this whole volume is that this could have been done in 3 pages of the next book.
Yeah.
Because Yeah, you get this heartfelt explanation of what happens as far as giving Bucky some Infinity Serum, which I believe is pertinent information to explain his, super advantages. And over the next couple of issues, they explain some of the gear that he has, which I thought was nice because you get that in like spy novels and whatnot.
Yeah.
But this issue itself just seemed a little, I don't know, just unnecessary, if that makes sense. And
A little long for a preamble.
Yeah, as a preamble, I don't think it really, honestly, it's just as a criticism to comic books as a whole with tie-in issues and whatnot. I feel like this was an issue that really didn't benefit either story that it was intended to benefit. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Because
what
as a
I would
tie-in,
have done,
go ahead.
I would have just basically take like a couple pages out of this book and smush them together, and then just put a little bit in each of the books going all the way through up to the end, so we can kind of see why he's doing this, and that's kind of just in the background. That's how I would have done it.
Make this a six-issue series.
Like
make this a 6-issue series and break this entire opening issue down into a flashback, basically.
Yeah, but throughout those 6.
But that's just a criticism of comic books in general. I think I could probably I would probably even have a different opinion of this issue if it was Winter Soldier #1 instead of Fear Itself #7.1. You know what I mean? But as what it is, I don't. Go ahead.
And like 7.1, really?
Right, because I think there was like up to 7.5 or something like that. Number? Because it was meant to be read in order at that point in time. Like that was how they dictated what tie-ins were going to be read in what order. I think that might have even been the wrap-up of the event or something. I don't know. I read Fear Itself. I've read all this stuff before. I have a criticism like this of a lot of tie-in issues to these big events. That's why I always say that one of my favorite mega events that Marvel has ever done was Secret Wars 2015. Because instead of having a boatload of tie-ins for the book that were necessary to kind of get what was going on and where everybody was going, I think that the original 9 issues of that series and the like 4 or 5, there were like 4 issues of 2 other series that were kind of important but not even necessary, and everything else was optional and didn't matter. Like a lot of it was fun. I liked a lot of it. It was its own individual thing, just set in that Battle World universe.
Right.
A lot of these other events have tie-ins, and a lot of them just don't make any sense to the story you're trying to sell. Fear Itself was the story of a bunch of non-Asgardian bad guys getting hammers, I believe, from Odin's brother, the Serpent.
Yeah, which I can never pronounce the name of the serpent.
Oh, it's not that serpent. It's not the World Serpent. It was Odin's brother.
Oh, it's not.
He was just called the Serpent.
I thought they were.
I don't know. No, the serpent in Norse mythology is technically Loki's child.
Yeah, I know, but they mess with the lineage in the comic books all the time.
Shh, we don't talk about that. They're not the same. But that's just to bring everybody up to speed. I'm sorry for that little tangent, but this is probably the weakest issue of this book. If this book was removed from this volume and you only got the next 5 issues, I think you would still have as good of a grasp on the story. That being said, it's a well done issue for what it is. I just don't think it benefits the story. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
It does give you an ample backstory if you have no idea who Bucky Barnes is, which I did. So, again, that's my criticism. For a new reader, it might not be as bad. It just seemed a little bit excessive for what it was, I guess is the correct term. But, it
like
also...
we both said, if they would have just pushed all of it as flashbacks throughout the rest of the issues, it would have been fine.
Right. And one of the major key points I think this sets up is the relationship between the Winter Soldier and Natasha Romanoff, the Black
Yeah,
Widow.
which I always forget how much I like her as a character in the comic books until she shows up in something like this.
Yeah. Well, they never abused her character in the early 2000s. Even into the early 2000 teens, they didn't abuse Black Widow as a character like they have with Captain Marvel. But that's a different
Yeah.
conversation, and we'll be talking about that all night. No, when they use her, they keep her true to her roots as an espionage, like secret, in the shadows,
Yeah.
sketchy past, questionable morals, but all in all, good guy character. And I like the consistency of that.
Yeah. Now I'm kind of wondering if my comic book store still has that new Black issue 1. If they sell the first issue of that, I might grab it just to torment myself.
New what
But
issue 1?
this past week there was a Black Widow
Oh,
mini series or something that started. I thought about it. I was like, but maybe I'll try it.
yeah. I mean, maybe they're still being true to the character, or maybe they're putting it
Love tangents.
down. We start talking about comics, and then we just go from there because we're old and boomer this shit up. But
Right.
no, again, you get a really good feel for the art style, and I think the shading and the way that the Black Widow is portrayed in these pages is just, it's different than the way the other characters are drawn because of her hair and everything, but it still fits the overall
Yeah.
theme of the book, and it gives you that old school PI detective espionage feel. The color palette choices here are fantastic.
Oh yeah. I like the muted tones throughout this whole book.
Right. And the way that the red hair again just stands out just like it did or just like the hair colors and the blood and stuff stood out in Criminal. Because I think a lot of writers do a lot more work in trying to explain how they want the book to look based on their writing than people give credit for. Because, a lot of writers do plotting for pages and then pass it off to the artist to tell them what they're looking for in the panels. And then the colorist still has to go in and capture the feel of that book. That's why the wrong colorist can ruin a book. If this was in all like Technicolor, realistic, like bright palettes, then I don't think it would have the same effect and the story wouldn't be the same. So I don't know if Brubaker does that, but I feel like a lot of good comic writers do. And even if they don't, I feel like the colorist here did a tremendous job based on what he knew the story was and what the art looked like.
Oh yeah. My only complaint with some of that is there's a lot of rain in this volume. Like it's always fucking raining.
Yeah.
Do you notice that?
Yeah, I did. I wasn't going to bring it up because I know that's a trope in like spy stuff. And this isn't as much crime noir as it is espionage and spy work. Another way that Brubaker writes, because those two genres are kind of hand in hand with the writing style, I think. A lot of secrecy, a lot of hush hush, a lot of backstabbing and double crossing.
Yeah.
Cloak and Dagger storylines are always the best. Yeah, Cloak and Dagger are amazing characters in the early Marvel universe. It's cool that her surname is Romanoff. So Pierce, welcome to the chat. Again, if I missed you guys, Danielle, Novel Bro, you guys are the best. Matt Christie, how's it going? You're coming in late. We're still on the first issue because I went off on a rant a little earlier about how this issue is kind of irrelevant to both the storylines it's part of. But we'll get there. We're almost through with this issue. We're only a half hour into the episode. I think we're doing good.
I'd say so.
Because again, it does speed up, and Yeah, for being us. But anyway, that's pretty much what this book is. The world thinks that the Winter Soldier is dead, and that's what we were told in an earlier storyline, I believe, is why this book was set up. And this book was set up to give the Winter Soldier a backstory during this time frame. So what would really be interesting is to go back and find out what the Black Widow was doing this time frame and match that up with this. But that's a show
See, you
for
were just
another
talking
day.
about how tie-ins are annoying. So
Oh yeah, oh yeah. But anyway, that pretty much wraps this issue up. It just kind of gives you a setting for what you're about to witness in the Winter Soldier series proper. Because again, this beginning issue wasn't really part of it. The art's really good, but then you actually get into Winter Soldier issue 1, and Brubaker again does something that I like in a lot of Marvel books is you get that preamble page that explains to you what you just
oh
read
yeah.
or what you're about to read. Gives you enough backstory to jump into it if this is your first issue. And that's why I didn't give him a lot of a hard time, because I don't think as these issues were coming out, he expected anyone that have read Fear Itself #7. I was more being
Yeah.
critical with Marvel Comics for including it in this volume and putting it at the very beginning instead of the end, because
Yeah.
as it would still make sense at the end. We just wouldn't have the knowledge of this is where this Bucky is in time. But I don't think that's as necessary once you get into the volume, because I do believe they covered that even in the beginning of this. You just don't see it exactly as it plays out.
Yeah, I think they mentioned throughout the rest of the issues like that he's supposed to be dead and has to stay in the shadows, but yeah, I mean, yeah, definitely not necessary to be able to read it, especially with the little previously in Marvel Comics.
Right. Um, this issue opens up. You've got the same League of Creators. Betty Brightweiser is the colorist. I don't know that we mentioned her in the last issue. I don't know that she did the last issue or not, but she's the colorist going forward, and I feel like she does a really good job, like we were just talking about with the color palette and everything.
Yeah.
So we open up, and it eventually, like I said, this issue is almost at the same pace of everything else. I mean, they do start out doing some espionage stuff, but it's a whole lot of backtracking and explaining how they got here. A lot of thought balloons, you know, recessed memories, explanations, you know.
Yeah, but this opening scene is awesome.
Oh yeah,
I love that.
oh yeah. As a whole,
Especially the whole like walking into a casino. It
Mhm.
is a very spy trope, but
Mhm.
I kind of like it.
No, I agree. It's
You know?
definitely, but there being like a super secret laboratory underneath it
Yeah.
that they're breaking into, and they do give you the hook at the very beginning of the issue. Like they find these containers where sleeper agents for the Russians have been held, and Bucky Barnes remembers being put into one of those. Romanoff was there at the same time during the Cold War. She saw him put into one of those. They understand immediately that they're dealing with rogue sleeper agents that Bucky Barnes has apparently trained. So already we've got our setting, and this is Cold War espionage after the fact. So
Yeah.
that's also
Now,
kind of a spy trilogy trope. I think is the Cold War is still going
the
on.
Cold War. Yeah. Now, one thing that bugged me through, I don't know if I missed it in the art somewhere. Why does sometimes he have a not metal hand?
I believe that's because he doesn't want to be seen. I mean, he's working for Shield.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like, what does he do? Is it like paint over the metal, like a rubber prosthetic? Like, how does he not have a metal hand in some of it, like when he's undercover. Do they ever explain how he does that?
I
I
don't
just
believe
miss it?
so. I don't believe they actually
Okay.
explain it. No.
Uh,
But I mean, for all we know, I
I'm
mean,
assuming it's like paint or something.
and that's probably a prosthetic or something like that. Maybe he can take off the metal hand and he has like a cyborg hand with skin on it.
Yeah, like Luke Skywalker.
Yeah. But I
Huh.
mean, one that looks like a regular human hand. He probably. I mean, it's the
Yeah.
Marvel universe. He works for Shield. They make life model decoys. They can make the Winter Soldier an arm that looked human.
Yeah, I was just curious if I had missed something
Uh,
because it was bugging me the whole time.
yeah. You can't ask yourself stuff, questions like that and still want to suspend your disbelief. So I let it go. I mean, if it's if it's glaring, um, then it'll be a problem with me. But the fact is, I just kind of brushed it off, and I understand Shield. Nick Fury constantly wears faces and has about 15 robots that look like him. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, they break into a casino and they're hunting down a stasis chamber, and you know they do touch on it again in this book. You see in the old news panels, just like a layout that they used to have back in the 80s. They bring that back here, and it's just television panels of actual BN reporting, and Bucky Barnes is dead, and they're recounting his history as Captain America's sidekick, Captain America himself, and the Winter Soldier. And they do this in one page. So that's a third of the comic book. Right. I mean,
So
it's a
it's
great.
always fun.
Always what?
I said it's always fun. It's a good way to give you kind of an idea of what's going on in the rest of the world, like in
Yeah.
relation to the character.
Or, you know, just how the character is showing up in the news. McFarlane used it a lot
Yeah.
to talk about how what was going on, how it was being reported. I think he was making a statement on media bias, but you know that's just me. He had obviously your CNN clone, and then you had a like an E Entertainment News clone, and finally you had like an Alex Jones type that was doing the news, all just like different takes on stuff.
Yeah.
The Alex Jones type was just like, I'm good with the vigilantes. Let him keep doing our work for us.
I mean, which I would kind of agree with.
But yeah, this is just, I think, really good writing, and I really like the art style again, where you just come through with that. I mean, this looks like a TV screen would look as a picture, I think.
Yeah.
You know, this I like the lower resolution because it's a picture of a TV screen. You're not seeing it with your naked eye. I like the way that it's depicted with the banner of the CNN News 12 logos, and it's legible even though it's small. Again, that's a testament to the lettering. So this is the first issue. If this would have been the first thing that I read when I opened this book, I don't know that I would have a single complaint about it.
That's a good point. You
So
know, except the hand thing. I don't know why the thing bugs me, but it does.
But I think that that's one of the biggest nudging issues that I don't hear a lot of people talk about. And a lot of people will tell you why they have problems with things or why things are an issue. But, you know, just as a fan that's been reading comics a lot, I feel like that the audience is going after these books is kind of undersold a lot. And I think that the expectation that people are going to buy something as a first is oversold, because this isn't the time where they're a leading medium they were in like the 80s or 90s.
Right.
I mean, there's so many things that just kind of jump. Why would I buy a comic book when I can download a free game and spend that $5 on that game every week?
Yeah.
I'm still going to be
Which
able
is
to
also
play that.
sad.
Yeah, but I can still play that game even if I don't have $5 more to put into it right now. Once I've read a comic book, what am I going to do with it? Put it in a box in my closet?
I go back and reread comic books.
I mean, I do too sometimes if they're really good, but we're talking from the perspective of how many times are you actually going to read this thing?
Yeah.
Maybe in a year you might go back and reread it, but in today's world, a lot of people are too plugged in to have. Like, you're kind of an anomaly. Just putting that out there. You're kind of closer to being off the grid and a hermit than I am, as far as actually having the free time unplugged from reality that is the internet.
I found a thing about making a off the grid like cabin out of like pallets, like wood pallets.
Yeah, I know you were. I'm sure you were. Yeah, but anyway, just to kind of get that in there, I feel like if that first issue just wasn't where it was in this book, that I would not have had a single issue with it. Because from here on out, this is a fast-paced story. I mean, you open up, they're on a mission to find out what this secret project that these people are working on are. Find one of these stasis cubes. They go into a little bit of a backstory to explain that these were sleeper agents from the Cold War that were trained by the Winter Soldier while he was under the control of the people who had that project. KGB, I believe.
Yeah, the KGB, Department X from the KGB or something like that, I think he said.
Yeah, they had league with Hydra at certain points. They worked with AIM. You're introduced to a new group called RAID. See if I can find where it is.
Yeah, we just say the acronyms in Marvel for some of these groups.
Oh yeah, the acronym game is just on point.
Advanced idea mechanics.
Yeah.
It's like they just come up with a word that they think will sound cool for an organization, and then just be like, "All right, somebody figure out what this could stand for."
Now, another testament to. Oh yeah. First off, I'll go ahead and read the acronym since I'm sure that's riling everyone up right now. I'm sure that's the most thrilling thing we could get into at the moment. RAID stands for Radically Advanced Ideas in Destruction. So,
see what I mean? I just picture him sitting there like going through each letter, like, okay, R radical. That sounds good.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, that sounds promising. That's exactly what we're gonna go for. But
anemic, no, that doesn't work.
Well, you just keep advance because yes, that was the little up. She comes again. She's upset. Yes, sorry, folks. My youngest is just not inclined to go to bed while anyone else is awake.
Aren't kids kind of like parrots? If you just like turn all the lights off, they'll go to sleep.
No, not if they don't like the dark. Then they don't go to sleep if you leave a television on, and then their siblings don't go to sleep if you leave a light on. So you're really just screwed.
Sounds like it. I might have to go schedule a vasectomy.
No, most of the time it's wonderful, but she just does not like going to bed. It is not her cup of tea. But no, the advanced in RAID comes from the leftover letter in AIM, Advanced Idea Mechanics, like you said earlier.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
But anyway, first off, you got to take a minute and look at the art. You get the infrared green, like overlay maps with the heat sensors and silhouettes. It's snowing in this frame, so it's not technically raining. I mean, it's raining really cold.
It's precipitating. would be the phrasing there.
Yes. But just all in all, this issue, I mean, they go to, God, I'm about to make this pun, aren't I? They're about to raid
I get.
because that's where they think the second
We really
location.
need a sound effects board.
What now?
We need a sound effects board.
Yes. Dum dum. I can just record my daughter screaming. Just do that every time one of us makes a bad pun. I think that'll be appropriate.
just a child screaming in the background.
Yes.
I mean, yeah, that's fitting. Can't really argue with that one.
But anyway, moving on. Now, the first issue, it just sets them up. They're going on these missions. They're getting their orders from Fury. There's not a lot of home base discussion. There's a lot of on the move, silently taking out Metal Gear Solid style of guards, creeping around, and having a lot of internal thoughts. It's really a lot like the Bendis book we read yesterday. In that regard, there's a lot of internal monologue and dialogue. Yeah. But you get introduced to an ape firing a 50 caliber machine gun. And this is what I've been
character in this whole volume.
I was gonna say, this is what I've been holding back the entire thing, because I've had my criticisms of the book as a whole. I really wanted to open this show up going there with an effing ape with an effing machine gun.
Who doesn't seem to be running out of bullets anytime soon, I think is the line that Bucky says.
Indeed. And comic fans will know that monkeys in comics are very much a time-honored trope. So, you can't...
where did that even come from? I mean, there's Gorilla Grodd, there's...
Oh yeah, there's entire universes where everybody is an ape.
Yeah, where did monkeys come from? I mean, they're hilarious. A monkey makes everything better, but
if we have time after the show, we'll look that up, because I think it has something to do with Jack Kirby, but I'm not 100% on it. I know one creator really had a thing for doing books with monkeys in them, and it kind of became a recurring theme because monkey books sell. They're absurd, and people love that. I mean, Marvel Apes was a thing, for God's sake.
Yeah. There's a really bad movie called The Order of the Black Eagle or something like that, where these agents have to track down a Nazi faction down in South America somewhere, and they have Hitler's body frozen in a stasis chamber, and there's definitely a baboon that drives a tank and blows shit up in that
fantastic
movie. And the tank's to scale. It's a small tank that only the baboon is in, driving around with his head sticking out.
That's amazing. I love every part of that. But at the end of the issue here, not episode, at the end of the issue here, you finally kind of get an idea for what the hell's going on. But you know this before Bucky and Natasha know this, or Nick Fury, or anybody. You cut away, and we're introduced, and this is where the real spy part of the book kind of comes in for me, just because of the way the villains are talking to one another and conducting themselves. And that there's an assassination taking place. Of course there's an assassination taking place.
Well, there has to be.
You're introduced to Professor Ivan Kragoff, which is a.k.a. the Red Ghost, a recurring Iron Man villain, I believe, who has a history of programming apes to do his bidding. That's where the apes come from. And then you have Madame Lucia von Bardas. She was the shield plant that was put in to puppet for Latveria after Doom was deposed the first time, but she just sold all of his tech to supervillains and distracted the shield from basically knowing that she was as bad as Doom. Then she popped back
As
up
you
as a
do.
cyborg. They explain all of this in the future volumes, and we're kind of going to breeze over that in the sake of time. So I figured I'd go ahead and explain who these people are right now. They're the ones responsible for buying the sleeper agents. And we're introduced to the first one who's trying to assassinate Dr. Doom. Now, if the monkey didn't get me hooked for the next couple of books, finding out Dr. Doom was, part of this without having seen that back cover would have sold me on this if this was a ongoing series. When Doctor Doom's a part of something, I'm in. Another one of those characters. Like, if the Doom's in it, yeah, I'll read it.
Yeah, he's like the perfect villain, really.
Yeah.
Right? Like, he's over the top. You know where he stands.
Right.
Like, he's like kind of like he's evil, but also kind of not at the same time.
Doom has got Doom's back. That's what he's about.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, he doesn't really care just as long as you don't insult him.
yeah. But anyway, again, this is the first issue where you get kind of a background. 3 Soviet soldiers from Project Zephyr, which is the name of the project that created the Sleepers. I didn't mention that. That's my bad. But it doesn't really matter. I mean, the name of the project is not going to matter again ever after the series. They're never going to go back to Project. Well, they do, I think, in this series, but after
Yeah,
Winter
they mentioned
Soldier,
him a few times.
yeah, you don't, really hear about Project Zephyr and Spider-Man or anything like that. It explains that they did a raid on Raid. Then they encountered a gun-wielding gorilla. They even remind you that you encountered the villains, including the Red Ghost, and that the first Zephyr agent is trying to assassinate Dr. Doom. That's where we pick up in this issue. So, not that you noticed, but they're still dealing with the baboon firing a 50 caliber machine gun.
Gorilla.
That's what I said. I also realized that I named the stream The Long Winter, not The Longest Winter. That's my fault on all the tweets because I'm awful. I apologize.
And yes, Novel Bro, I wish they would do a movie adaptation of this with the gorilla.
With the gorilla, yes, 100%. And you'll see why the gorilla even gets more awesome as the story goes on.
Oh yeah, just wait.
Yeah. But Bucky is set to distract the gorilla while Natasha is bouncing up to her rooftop to try and kill it. Or at least get
doing seriously, how does she do that move? That seems like physiologically impossible to move in the way she does sometimes.
Yeah. A lot of yoga, I guess. A lot of stretching, probably some gymnastics in her past. I mean, she's a super secret agent, man. Probably double jointed. I mean, maybe she doesn't even have any real bones. Again,
she's an LMD. That's how she does it.
That's correct. Yes, everyone's an I'm an LMD. But again, it's just one of.
I kind of thought you might be.
Yeah, it's just one of those things that I always just kind of forgave in comics, I guess. It's not something, unless it's just absolutely absurd. This is technically possible. It's just really strange.
Technically.
Not very easy to pull off, but if you're going to believe anybody can do it, it's going to be some human that's on the Avengers, right?
True. I'm not saying I have a problem with it. I'm just saying it's just really weird.
Yeah,
like
I think it's done mainly for the paneling, I think.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's done mainly for the paneling, I believe. I don't condone that choice necessarily, but I'm too distracted by gorilla with the 50 caliber machine gun. To be completely honest, I am entirely too giddy about this gorilla, you guys. Oh, if you understand that. The gorilla gets so many bonus points for this book from me.
It really does.
Because again, after the first issue and the first part of the the actual first issue of Winter Soldier, I thought I was going to be in for a longer haul than it was. But they introduced the gorilla. Everything just got better.
They really went from 0 to 60 in like a page with that.
Right. And then instead of being killed, the gorilla escapes on a frickin' jetpack. And then after the gorilla escapes, they have to kind of call in and be like, well, we just screwed everything up and we need somebody to come in and clean up the prisoners.
They literally say we need a cleanup crew, right?
Yeah. But the thing is they're like, yeah, we ruined everything, and a gorilla on a jetpack just kind of got the best of us. Yes, a gorilla on a jetpack. Just come get us.
I mean, I think that would throw off like even the most hardened spy, right?
I mean,
if all of a sudden a gorilla just.
I just don't see Nick Fury taking it very well. Like a gorilla on a jetpack. What are you smoking, Barnes? You guys get hit with like some LSD or something?
And is this where he starts kind of explaining his gear, like how his suit is designed to like protect him from impacts and stuff like that?
Yeah, when he gets hit by the gorilla, that's what I was talking about earlier. He starts giving like specs on his gear, and I do like that they explain how he's not killed. But again, it makes that first issue, Fear Itself 7.1, invalid because that's the issue that explained he was given the Infinity Serum. And the Infinity Serum would make him stronger and faster and able to endure more. So why do you need to explain it? I'm sure he's wearing some damn spy armor. All of them are. You don't have to tell me. If you do tell me, then I don't need to know that he's on the Infinity Serum. Why not tell me both things? The Infinity Serum coursing through my vein, blah, blah, blah. And this armor. At least, like,
Well, does the Infinity Serum, like, protect you from impacts, though? I thought it just, like, made you, like, faster, stronger, and, like, extended your life out.
Like, it would, but I'm saying, don't you think that part of being stronger is being able to withstand more impact?
Not necessarily.
I always just kind of correlate strength and endurance because they abuse the term super strength.
Yeah.
To assume both anyway. So anybody that's super strong can take a hit is kind of their logic in comics, I think. Stereotypically.
Yeah.
I do think that would be
hit by a gorilla.
Truth. 50 cal gorilla for the win, Silverback Squad assemble. Oh God, no, don't do that. Why are you black? Oh, I meant the screen. God damn it. Well, it was a good ride here on YouTube.
Come see us on D Live next week.
That's right. But you also get
for the check there.
You also get a check-in on Dr. Doom, who's apparently just been hit by an RPG, even though it only looked like the guy was aiming a sniper rifle at him. It doesn't help that I ask, why are you black, when Novel Bro just said something about the Silverback Squad. I just... I was just...
You know,
you
if we
plan
have to go to
that.
D Live, no. And if we have to go to D Live, that means we can't show any more like Golden or Silver Age comics with all the racism against Chinese people.
Oh no, we were gonna have to. If we get kicked off of YouTube, it's a race to get kicked off of D Live. Rambot's been kicked off like 7 times.
That's not surprising.
He just keeps coming back, bro.
He's like herpes.
Anyway, just for clarification, I did mean the screen. I wasn't talking about the Silverback Squad. But yeah, he gets hit with an RPG, even though it only looks like he was hit by a sniper. And I just accept it. Again, everything's on fire. Doom's raising hell about it. He's like, yeah, you knew an RPG wasn't going to kill him. I don't think it was meant to kill him. Uh, then you get some backstory for the sleeper agents. I'm just going to kind of breeze through this real quick, but I do want to show this page, even though it's right after the one we just looked at, just because of the layout of it.
Yeah.
Again, it's very high tech spy noir, not even noir, just high tech spy espionage, intrigue, secret agent, double crossing, in the shadows artwork, and it's done so well with just such a good choice of layout and color palette to make
Yeah,
it visually appealing instead of just a page full of blacks and blues.
Yeah, I love the contrast between like that greeny blue of the stasis chambers and like the red.
That's a teal. That's called a teal.
Whatever. I'm not good. I'm not good with colors. All right.
Yeah, the contrast between the red and the teal, neon green, fuchsia, not fuchsia, do the thing. Seafoam. Seafoam's the word I was looking for. But with the blacks and the light blues, I mean, this is a very limited color palette. There's only about 9 colors. Really look at it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, but it's done so well that
mm-hmm.
they like everything jumps out at you.
But again, you get kind of the backstory of all the sleeper agents that were trained. Bucky Barnes starts remembering things and just stares off into space. It's snowing in Prague, apparently important. But Nick Fury's doing some spy stuff. The Red Ghost is doing some spy stuff. A lot of spy stuff going on, but eventually you run into Winter Soldier and Black Widow breaking up a supervillain like tech auction. And everybody just starts to scatter. And they're just like, I was hoping this would happen, and just start knocking people out. And, Black Widow's doing another one of those poses in the same panel where she's just like, what is she even doing there? Like, is that a mid backflip? She doing a leaning forward front kick? Like, what the hell is happening? She looks like she just got catapulted at a guy.
It looks like the long jump people in like the Olympics, where they fold in half while they fly forward.
Right. Fuck. But anyway, they bust up the auction ring and they finally actually get hold of the auctioneer, and they find out that our 2 bad guys from earlier not only bought the auction or the activation codes for the sleeper agents, but they also picked up a Doom bot, which explains why they were targeting Doom. They do a little bit of back and forth with what Fury finds out about the Red Ghost and what they found out about the Doom bot. And that's pretty much this issue. I mean, you get a little bit more backstory. Second.
Yeah, but as you can see, definitely starts picking up a lot.
Right. You get a little bit more backstory, and you see the Doom bot, and that's the end of the issue. Not a lot, of explanation as to what's going on with the Doom bot, but I think inferences can start to be drawn here, and you do eventually find out in the next issue that it's all a setup. But by the time you get to the end of this book with the climax and the cliffhangers and everything between the issues, you're kind of left stunned that everything was literally a 4D chess move. Everything they planned.
Underwater upside down 4D chess.
Underwater upside down basket weaving 14 chess, yes.
Yeah. Feminist basket weaving underwater.
Jesus Christ. That's
What?
the second issue, and then you meet the midway point in what we're actually going to be reading here. And the agent that set all of this off, the Russian sleeper agent that was activated, we didn't talk a lot about him, but this guy was activated. He killed his family, and then went on to secure one of the sleeper agents or something. Um, but he's been drawing a lot of heat to the organization, so the Red Ghost is out here having him killed by the actual sleeper agent. And you get the whole see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil montage in the background.
I love that.
Yeah. And you see that the Red Ghost is quote unquote gaslighting the sleeper agent, explaining to him that the Cold War is still going on, and this time we're going to win. Blah blah blah. Kind of a recurring theme for him. He's all about being a damn Soviet. But what are you going to do?
Freaking commies.
But again, we jump back and forth in this book a lot between Nick Fury giving the rundown from Mission Control and Natasha and Barnes. I keep thinking Hawkeye for some reason because of the damn Avengers. But yeah, Barnes and Black Widow are just constantly going back and forth through missions throughout this. By the time they get to the midpoint of this, and they bust up the auction and everything, and you see Doombot, that's when Nick Fury starts kind of giving the rundown of, okay, this is what we know so far. Because that's when they figure out that it's the former Latveria. They had not known it to this point because the auctioneer didn't know their names. He just knew that the Red Ghost was here. But, you get a little bit of her backstory. They kind of develop a theory for what's been going on. They start to track the guy. And then you see that, what's her name? Name's terrible.
Which one?
Lucia. You find out that Lucia is activated the Doombot, and the Doombot has been programmed to listen to her. And you also kind of get a little bit of the backstory on the Doombots. They were programmed to act just like Victor Von Doom and think that they were the real Victor Von Doom. Only this one's programming had been changed so that it would listen to Lucia and obey her. She can put it to sleep and whatnot. They're going to use it to blackmail Dr. Doom.
I thought they were using it to frame him for something.
What? Blackmail? Well, yeah. I mean, I guess that's not what blackmail is, but that's the same thing.
No, blackmail is like that picture I have with you and the midgets and Tiamat.
Yeah. Well, not blackmail. That's on my Instagram. During one of their missions, they have to jump out of a plane and use a teleporter to teleport inside of a building. That was pretty interesting, and it was a beautiful full-page spread. I like that they don't abuse the full-page spread in this volume.
Yeah. I like this part with the teleporters because Bucky's like, are we sure these work? And they're just like, well, Reed Richards made them, so
probably. There's probably more of a chance of you screwing up than his tech screwing up. And he's like, that doesn't instill me with confidence. But again, they're diving down and they're breaking into Latveria, into Doctor Doom's, lair, basically. And he confronts them, and he's like about to kill them, and he's like, "Why are you here?" And he's like, "I need your help." But Bucky is. He's like, "We need your help, Doom." And Doom's like, "What do you need?" And that's when you find out that the Doombot is placed right outside of United Nations. So all of these issues are the same length, but just the speed and I don't know, the intrigue of the book has picked up at this point that it took us an hour to
Yeah.
get through the first 2 issues and maybe 12 minutes to get through this one, just because you get backstory that we've already kind of explained. But still, it's so
But
much faster. Yeah, it's just so much faster to read it once it gets to around issue 2. Well, actually, at the end of issue 1, it's just so much faster.
Yeah. Well, as kind of like the scheme and everything starts to unfold like piece by piece, and the intrigue is building. I don't know if it reads faster, or I just like dove into it so much it just felt like it went by faster.
Snake, can you hear me? Snake, Snake. um, yeah, that's pretty much what it was. Except they didn't get snaked out. They had been just choking people out and laying them on the ground, dragging them into lockers and closing them into lockers like in high school. That's pretty much all they did in this book. Everything else we said is BS. All they did was just choke people out and put them in lockers for 141 pages, and it was still funny. But obviously, Doom reluctantly decides to help them because of the whole Doombot thing. He doesn't want to start a war with the United Nations.
And doesn't he hate Lucia too?
Yes, he does.
So, if anything, it's probably more so because of his hatred of her.
Right. But they devise a plan, and eventually,
Goddamn rain. Anyways, sorry.
yeah,
Continue.
pull that up. That is a pretty great shot on the motorcycle, though. Like that.
It is a gorgeous shot,
But yeah, they have a bit of a conversation where Doom's like, or Doom's trying to take his ship to America to intercept the UN spot, and Natasha's going after the Red Ghost. Bucky's going with Doom, and Bucky's trying to explain to him, like, you can't fly this on America's soil. He was like, your laws don't apply here or to me. Bucky's like, yeah, they do, and we're helping you out. He's like, no, I'm helping you. And Bucky's like, no, actually, we're helping you. But yeah, Natasha's on her way to pick up on the whereabouts of the Red Ghost, and that's another thing that these books do pretty well. Is a lot of comic books rely on that interaction between the good guys and the bad guys, and they really undervalue minions a lot, I think.
yeah.
Your bad guy minion can be one of your most versatile tools out there. Um, but
Well,
but
it's like the Fifth Element. Like they never really meet
right.
through the whole movie.
Well, at this one, you kind of get a mini encounter because this is probably my favorite part of the whole series after the initial gorilla part, just because of how interesting that was. But the Doombot and Doctor Doom are fighting one another, and my first question would be, how do you know who wins? Like, if you walk away from the battle, how do you know who wins if they look alike?
True. I mean, we as the reader can tell because of the different text boxes, but
yeah. How do you know
that's about
as Bucky Barnes? How do you know that the Doom that wins this altercation is going to be the real one?
yeah. I mean, you kind of assume the real Doom would win, right?
Yeah, you do, but what are you going to do? And again, we're given a shot of Bucky being thrown around and commenting on how his impact armor couldn't handle or his resistant suit couldn't handle the blast that Doom didn't even flinch at. and the sleeper agent goes to running off. All the sleeper agents have names, but I don't care about them, so I'm not going to read them.
Do you not care, or can you not pronounce them?
I can... Yes. But anyway, the guy runs off and starts shooting at people, killing some people, and Bucky Barnes is after him. Throws an explosive round at him to try and stop him. They have a slight altercation, and supposedly the Doombot and everything are still fighting. Then, yeah, they get into it, and he grabs Bucky's gun and blows his own hand off and severs his own throat with a fragment from the gun. Bucky feels bad about it. I don't know why Bucky feels bad about it. The guy's trying to kill him, but I guess he's just trying to be human and save the guy, and the guy goes to kill himself, and I don't know. It just,
Well,
I mean,
this is another instance where explaining his tech, like it only responds, like it reads his palm and will only fire for him.
Yeah.
Another little, just nice little, like
Yeah.
spy gadget explanation.
Yeah, and I guess this is the redemption arc moment in the spy movie where, you know, the spy is trying to make up for some of the nasty low-down crap that he may have done in the past.
Yeah.
Not in every one, but I think it's a pretty common enough trope to be included. It just, I don't know, it felt a little bit forced to me. Like, I don't think you spend a whole page mourning that one of the people trying to kill you killed themselves.
Well, was it more so that, or more so just like you needed to get information from him? Because like he was trying to keep him alive long enough to try and get the rest of what's going on out of him.
Well, I mean, you could tell that he didn't want this to happen. I mean, he's like, you know, did you not train better than this? Or, you know, then he's trying to get the information because he needs it, but you could still tell that he's, you know, reminiscent.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, he tries to convince the last one at the end, like, hey, you don't have to do this anymore, sort of thing. So
Right. But
I don't know. It didn't seem too forced to
right.
me.
And you get a page or two of Black Widow. I think it's just a page of Black Widow finding the raid lab and seeing that she was a few hours behind whatever. And then you get the best reveal. The end of issue 4, find out that the Doombot was merely a distraction. You know, it was never meant to really be in play for that long. But what it was meant to do was distract everyone from the fact that the Doombot was acquired because it had nuclear launch codes inside of it. That's what Lucia wanted, grand scheme of things. So she's aimed some nuclear. Yeah.
If you're Doom, why would you program your Doom bots with your own nuclear launch codes?
Why not?
All right.
Comics.
I mean, he is crazy.
Comics. Because comics. So now nukes are in play. I'm assuming pointed towards America because the Doombot was in play to be attacked by one of the sleepers posing as an American. Miner here can't handle buckshot, and the villain is a little too busy. Minion, hee boss, I got him with my shotty at their head. The Red Skull strategy game was obviously far-reaching, and his own personal endgame would have had lasting effects on everyone still alive to deal with the aftermath. We kind of saw a little bit of that while Red Skull controlled the Cosmic Cube for a little bit there in the early 2000s, late 90s time frame, where he reshaped a little bit of reality. And then again, even though it was done poorly, in the Secret Empire arc, where Hydra rebuilt the Secret Empire.
Yeah.
But yeah, issue 4 nukes, and then it's to be concluded. So this is a 5-issue arc. Pretty common for that time frame, I think, and part of an ongoing. So this isn't the end. There are a few volumes. I think there's like between 14 and 19 issues of this or something. Winter Soldier just never was that popular of a character. He's got a pretty big fan base, but they're not Spider-Man.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I love the spy stuff. Like, I would probably read this over. I mean, I love Spider-Man, but as far as like the base type of story it is, I like this. I would gravitate more to something like this than your average Spider-Man story.
Well, yeah, but I think that's more of a just a age range and personal preference of it.
Yeah.
But overall, I think Spider-Man will always kind of have better numbers than a Winter Soldier type. I'm not saying there's not an audience for this. That's why I'm saying I think people need to. I'm not going to say people need to. I think it's really good when people follow writers and artists like this because it supports their work through different archetypes.
Yeah.
But we'll kind of talk about that once we get through this. This is the final issue, so let me find up a good starting point here. I guess
the machine gun that the monkeys are shooting that are going Buddha, 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 Buddha.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. We can do that. But yeah, Doom is is reconfiguring the teleporter, and they're using it to
and making snide comments about Reed at the same time.
Oh yeah, always insulting Reed Richards, but reconfigured the teleporter to transfer over a longer distance or something, or basically get it to the missile silo with coordinates, and teleporter works while he's gets cut off telling Black Widow not to question him, and the apes are already on them with machine guns, so. That's where this book opens up. So it really, this is a few pages into the opening issue, but this is pretty much where this issue starts, and it doesn't slow down from here until the end.
As the way it should be.
Correct. But they fight their way through the apes. They encounter the Red Ghost, and instead of getting the fight scene, it's kind of like an Indiana Jones type encounter, where Bucky tricks him into turning intangible and then runs right through him instead of doing anything to him. I felt like it was hilarious.
Yeah, I love that. Because you're expecting this, this like long fight scene between the two of them, and he's just like, nah.
Yeah.
See ya.
So Doom eventually comes face to face with Lucia, and they have it out. Black Widow is taking out the monkeys and holding them off. Bucky is taking out the sleeper agent, and I mean, basically, this is a pretty good conclusory issue with a lot of action. A pretty good scene there. I like the paneling on it.
Oh yeah.
You've got Lucia like overloading, the monkeys being caught in that energy surge. Doom talking about how she was used parts and refuse. I think it's a pretty cold insult for a cyborg. And Bucky running from being shot at by the sleeper agent and having to throw his knife to take him out. I mean, a lot of action, but basically just kind of closing out the issue, just getting everything kind of reset to where it was in the beginning, so to speak.
Well, where it was in the beginning.
Well, I mean, at least it's trying to resolve everything that was brought about, I guess you'd say.
Fair enough.
I mean, they make a few deals. Doom agrees to disarm his nukes, and Nick Fury agrees not to port them, and all of this other good stuff. Everything kind of goes back to the initial status quo, except for the fact that you realize that there's only been two sleeper agents revealed in this time frame. And the third one is pretty much the center focal point of the final arc. But before you get to that, you do get a little mini story, which I really liked. It was really a very nice ending. I think it because you completely changed the color palette, the layout of what you've been looking at so far. And one of the initial people that was involved in setting all of this into motion is tracked down and taken out by Bucky Barnes. And
While
I
on
just,
a beach in a white shirt.
yeah, drinking a fruity drink. And he's just taken out quietly with a sniper rifle from Barnes in a coconut tree.
See, that's folks. This is why you don't walk around beaches in bright shirts drinking fruity drinks. Easier for a sniper to spot you.
And that's pretty much where it ends up. And you lead into the next volume, which is called Broken Arrow. It's Winter Soldier, The Longest Winter. Kind of discuss it. So, all in all, what did you think of the book?
Oh, it was. I loved it. It was so much fun. Um, sorry, folks. I have horrible allergies right now, so my voice is awful. That wasn't my audio cutting out. That was just my voice cutting out. But no, like I said, this was for me like a nice nostalgic callback to the old spy movies and books I used to read and watch as a kid and stuff. And I love all that kind of stuff. The over the top gadgets, crazy villains, that kind of stuff. I love that kind of stuff. So I enjoyed it.
I think it is the Hawaiian shirt novel, bro. That's why I remind you of that. Yeah, I'll agree with you on that. I think that for the most part, it's really good. Again, I think it does suffer a little bit because your main character, or not your main character, your opening book, um, Fear Self book, I think was not necessary, and that's the only criticism I really have of this volume. Um, it bothers me when it comes to like tie-ins and stuff like that when they're irrelevant to the story that they're in. Please drink water. I'm wheezing at your lip licking.
I
Are
am
you
drinking water.
licking your lips?
No.
Me? I don't think I'm licking my lips. Someone's doing it. Probably me. Probably me, but again, I can blame it on you. Sure. I mean, I pretty much did bring you on to be the fall guy, so.
Yeah, pretty much.
Just kidding. But no, if it wasn't for that first issue, I wouldn't have any problems with this book at all. I think that is, the first 5 issues of the Winter Soldier stand alone as they are. Don't think that first issue was poorly written, but again, I just feel like it was a little bit too meaty to include at the beginning of a series like this. And I know that wasn't Brubaker's fault. I mean, I have no idea how long the actual issue. I just heard you do it again. Whatever that was you did. Was it a lighter?
No, I mean I moved and
Oh, I just heard a
cord.
pop, possibly. But I think I heard what Novel Bro heard. Just sounded like a smack, just like not as much like a kiss, but like your lips were puckered together for just a moment.
Oh, that. Okay, I know.
Okay.
I bumped my microphone because I was trying to wipe my nose.
Just throat pain, and he was trying to speak absolute gold. Shows him weak. You guys me with laughter. Thanks. No problem, man. But no, if it wasn't for that first issue, this I think would be a perfect 5-issue collection. I'd still like having it on my shelf, but if I was recommending this to someone, I would tell them to skip the first 20 or so pages. And then go back and read them at the end if they feel like they need it. And
yeah,
I'm not, taking that away from Brubaker as a writer. I think that's a fine standalone issue. But in the composition of this volume, I just don't think it has any place. Other than that, from issue 1, you kind of got the theme of what the story was going to be. You got the idea of what what you were going to kind of be in for, just as a general rule of thumb. But you didn't get overwhelmed at any point in time with the story. Once you got in rolling at the end of issue 1, the nonstop, just intriguing story. So, Winter Soldier 1 through 5 by Ed Brubaker. I 100% recommend it.
Oh yeah, definitely recommend this one.
So, that's 2 for 2 for Ed Brubaker and 2 different genres.
Yeah.
So, I want to talk about just a couple of points in this story that we touched on earlier that we did like, and maybe some stuff that we didn't necessarily like or could have been done differently. Aside from the obvious one that I've already mentioned.
And the arm thing.
I think we could bring the arm thing up. If you're going to put that much info about your weapons and your back history and all that good stuff in there, I think that you should should explain.
I think that might be why it bothered me.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'll give you that. I think that
not the point that it was a detriment to the story, but I was just sitting there going like, why is his arm not metal here?
Right. I do feel like it was a little bit kind of a wrap-up ending kind of thing. Feel like that could have been drawn out a little bit more. Maybe cut some of the pages down in the beginning where they're working out their teleportation methods and extend the encounter and maybe the chase, or maybe actually have them try and infiltrate instead of being intercepted by monkeys in the very beginning of that. But again, when you have Doctor Doom, it's mentioned earlier in the series that Doctor Doom doesn't have a stealth mode.
Machine gun.
Yeah, but it is.
You utilize those guys all the time.
It is referenced earlier in the story that when you're working with Doctor Doom, that Doctor Doom does not have a stealth mode, and therefore you're not going to sneak past anything or anybody. But all in all, like I said, I feel like it's solid. I don't know that I like it as much as Criminal.
Which is fair.
I wouldn't say it was bad.
I definitely saw similar like storytelling beats between this and Criminal. Like the kind of slow build in the last little bit. It's just all the action just hits all at once.
Right. I think the pacing is just a little bit more steady in Criminal, and I like that a little bit more. This book, because I guess it was a 5-issue story arc that they needed to wrap up, I guess it did kind of have to pick up near the end, which is kind of a drawback of the limited series style, where you're trying to fit stuff into a trade. But again, most trades are 6 issues, and I'll go back to it. If you didn't have Fear of Self 7.1 at the beginning, you have room for that 6th issue. that you could have stretched it out a little longer. But
And we could have got more machine gun monkeys.
yes, we could have. We could have had the Doombot's brain put into a monkey, so that the monkey with the machine gun thought it was Doctor Doom and acted like Doctor Doom. I think that's a good one.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, machine gun monkeys. That sounds like a good band name, doesn't it?
I can't disagree with you there. But
You know, like a punk band.
right, or maybe a barbershop quartet even.
That I could dig that.
An ironic name. There was it was like a hippie fish type cover band that called themselves Hoof Hearted after the racehorse. HOOF HEARTED. But you know how jockeys or not jockeys, but the announcers at like horse tracks always call out like auctioneers, and it's Hoof Hearted, Hoof Hearted, Hoof Hearted.
Yeah.
So that's the joke. But the band actually named themselves Hoof Hearted after that.
I mean, as you should. Doom Brain Gorilla would be unstoppable. I want one.
I need
we
one.
all do.
I need one. I want it to be like my personal bodyguard. It would take Trunk Monkey to a whole new level.
I want you to be my chauffeur.
Yeah, that too. I don't know. I don't know if I would trust a monkey to drive. They're kind of short sometimes. And not many of them could drive. Like, not many 800-pound gorillas could drive. Maybe you could ride on its back if it had a jetpack.
There we go. Like the seat facing the other way.
Yeah.
So you get in the seat, buckle yourself in, and then flies away on the jetpack. I can dig it.
Yeah.
Elon Musk, come on, get on this.
That's right. Fuck you,
I mean, if anyone's crazy enough, to figure it out, it's him.
We can make him run on solar power, man. This will be great. So, what do we want to look at for next week on Brubaker's list? Something from DC?
I feel like that's fitting.
Because he's literally written for everybody.
Back up here. What are you doing?
How was it doing anything?
There. I was yelling at my browser.
Oh, okay. He did a couple of Batman runs. Bruce Wayne Murderer, Wayne Fugitive, volumes 1, 2, and 3. War Games.
Yeah, Hawkman.
I think that was just a one-shot, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He did an issue of Hawkman in 2004, an issue of Robin. He wrote pretty much all of Gotham Central. If anybody in the chat wants to weigh in on this, by the way, we'll take recommendations from you guys too.
Yeah. It's mostly Batman. I mean, we could do Catwoman. We haven't really talked about her much.
I'm not against doing a Batman story. He did The Man Who Laughs. Was a Detective Comics 7
Batman Gotham Noir. Sounds interesting.
Yeah. Gotham Noir takes place in 1949. One issue. Oh, it is by Sean Phillips too, though. So, pages is it? Get our hands on that. More about James Gordon than Batman, it seems.
Yeah.
I could dig that.
I don't know. Sounds cool.
Depending on
I
how
like
long.
as
Yeah, depending on how long it is, we might can look at that Hawkman issue too.
mostly just because the comment you made off air about Hawkman being annoying
Hawkman is
because
the
he might be
worst.
Egyptian or he might be Themyscirian
Thanagarian, not
or
Themyscirian.
whatever. Too many THs. Stop it, DC.
Yeah, depending on how long it is, we could do that. I don't know. I like Gotham Central too. That's police procedural. Gotham
Well, if
Central is
anyone,
about the police department. I think Novel Brewer weighed in and wants Gotham Noir. There's also
come missing
Gotham
a god.
Knights. 74 issues of Gotham Knights.
That'd be a lot of reading.
We're not going to read all 74 issues for I don't think he wrote all of them.
No.
Credited for some of it. Oh yeah, he just did one backup story in 2003 for God's sake. So yeah, there's a good bit to choose from. And then the following week we could do either something from Vertigo, like we did something from Icon, or we could look at another one of his Image titles. Put a poll up on that one this week or early next week.
Yeah. I would say we do Vertigo, but
Commissioner Gordon. Yeah, that seems good one. We can do Gotham Noir. I like that. But so far, like I said, I think Brubaker's probably really, really on the money as far as being able to capture that writing style of crime noir and espionage. So I think it'll be interesting to see him tackle a character like Batman and Commissioner Gordon. See what they do with them. Combination of the same writer and artist as the original book we looked at, Criminal.
by the way, Novel Bro, that took me a second to figure out how to read that.
Commissioner Gordon. Kind of close your nose and say
I mean,
Commissioner
if you
Gordon.
well, if you just glance at it real quick, you know,
Oh,
it kind of
okay.
it looks.
Yep.
See what
Okay.
I'm?
Yep.
See what? See what?
Yep. Don't make me fire you. You've had a good run. But anyway,
I'm surprised you didn't have to shoot remark.
Oh no. I think that's pretty much all I've got, unless there's anything else to bring up. Next week, probably do at least one radio show. We'll find out if you guys want to do some more of the Pokemon radio show back to back. We could even do a different radio show. Maybe a vote on that. I don't know how to
we
do
have
this.
to do Pokemon radio.
Yeah, that was really fun.
It was a lot of fun.
But we'll do that next week, and then next weekend we'll look at Gotham Noir and maybe one or two other DC titles. And I don't know what we've got planned Saturday. I think tentatively we have a guest scheduled for Saturday, which as soon as I get a confirmation, I will announce it on Twitter and in the Discord. So, if there's anything else you wanted to bring up,
That was about it. This was a good story. Go out and read it.
Yeah, if you get your hands on Brubaker's Winter Soldier, check it out. It runs for it runs for. Look at how many issues that does run for before we get off of here. Already got his bibliography pulled up.
Let's see. Where'd it go?
Yeah, it was
14.
Yep. The Winter Soldier Volume 1 was 14 issues. He did a one-shot called Winter Soldier Winter Kills in 2006 before this. So, and he did a lot of Captain America. I think I wanted to do some Captain America. I don't know where we got Winter Soldier from if you didn't select it. Just saying. I wouldn't have picked it. I would have picked Civil War.
I think I said Iron Fist as a joke.
Oh yeah, you said Iron Fist as a joke, but I knew that was going to be a joke, and that's why I didn't accept it. Because there's no way in hell when we've got this much Captain America, Civil War, Winter Soldier that we're looking at the Iron Fist book. Nobody likes Iron Fist. I probably would like it just because I said that. But I mean, you got Daredevil. He did a crap load of Daredevil in Marvel. He's written a lot, guys. You should definitely check him out.
Yeah.
But thanks for that novel, bro. But outside of that, yeah, we will probably go ahead and get off here so everybody can go do their thing before Nick goes on air.
And probably be late.
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't know. He's he hasn't done a show in a couple of days. Probably be on time just because we assume he's going to be late. It's part of the grifting op.
That's true. That's how you do it.
Yeah, right. Anyway, you guys have a good one, and we will see you tomorrow.
And remember to hit that like button and subscribe and do all that YouTube stuff that we never say.
That's right. Like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. And always remember,
Thank you for listening to another episode of Gospel of Comics. This next portion brought to you by Blue Coal. Remember,
we're going to have to get it edited to say, this show has been
Just
brought to you
by Blue Coal.
Yeah. Novel Bro should submit that one in his Sean Connery voice.
There we go. I can dig it.
Anyway, that's it, folks. Thank you for coming out. Have a good evening.
Good night, everybody.